Hello and welcome back to a video regarding the possible vice presidential candidate shortlist that we have for former Vice President Joseph Robinette Biden III. Now, what we have to consider is that while there's a predicted list about all of this, there is nothing that would substantiate, there is nothing at all that would substantiate a claim that there's like 25 people that are going to be considered in this race. Of course, that is not the case. In reality, there's only a couple that would be considered. As we know, Amy Klobuchar lost already. She's out of the contention. We know that Gretchen Whitmer is out of the contention. And we do know who may or may not be on this list. And you know what? It has been leaked. And today I would like to cover specifically Elizabeth Warren as vice president. Would this be a good pick? I believe this would be an awful pick, and this is in particular because of the fact that while she is younger than Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren would be 70 years old. No, actually 71 years old as vice president. I don't believe she is of the right age to really become a vice president and then a president. You have to consider, anybody who becomes Joe Biden's vice presidential nominee has a 20% chance of winning the presidency in general, of being president, because of the fact is that if Biden has a 40% chance of winning in 2020, and he most likely will resign in the first term, that then Warren or whoever is the VP will become vice president. Now, it is obviously clear that Biden's going to pick a woman. Did he say a woman of color? I think that is preferable, but if she proves to be so good as vice presidential nominee, that her potential is so high, then he will go with the white woman. Now, she might say that she's a woman of color. She's walked that back. She's extremely white. Warren was born to two white parents. She is clearly not Indian at all. She is obviously very popular among certain circles, but she is clearly not the best person to become vice president, and this is why. Look, she is 71. That is clearly just not young enough. If he is going to have a VP that's going to contrast with him, Joe Biden should get a woman in her 40s or 50s, early 60s at the oldest. We do not need a person in their 70s again. That defeats the purpose of, well, I hope somebody that will replace me, because she's old. She is not demented yet, but clearly that could happen in a year now. That is just an obvious fact. And Warren clearly has had a lot of experience, but not as much as others on the VP shortlist. She's actually had probably less experience than Kamala Harris, to be fair, and she's like 20 years older than Kamala. Isn't that pretty interesting? She comes from Massachusetts, which electorally is completely irrelevant to the election vastly. Elizabeth Warren did not do well in the New Hampshire primary. Therefore, that would not make Biden flip New Hampshire. So, what is the electoral consequence of what would happen? If you were to look at YAP-MS and look at this presidential election, Warren doesn't really add into anything. And the thing is that while she is progressive, she has been compromised severely by the fact that she was a snake considered to the Bernie bros, and while you might think that the Bernie bros are losing their grasp on everything, I believe that they still posed a significant threat to Joe Biden's future presidential ambitions. And the fact is that while, of course, Biden can win California, the question is, will he win Nevada? Will he win Colorado? Will he win New Mexico? Will he win Michigan? Will he win New Hampshire? And I just frankly do believe that Joe Biden needs to pick somebody that is better than Elizabeth Warren. And it is just obvious to me that she has no Latino appeal. Her white appeal is negligible, of course. She's a Democrat after all. It is also obvious to me that while, she is from the Northeast, I don't think that transfers over to Maine. I don't think that transfers into New Hampshire, which are important states in this election. So completely disregard that fact. And you don't even need to look into her rap sheet to understand that this girl has some skeleton in her closet. When we're talking about the the super PACs and the money that she transferred from her Senate campaign in 2018 to the presidential campaign, it is clear she's not clear on finance reform. She is not pure as the driven snow, as maybe Bernard Sanders may be. She clearly isn't as far left as the socialist in the party would want her to be, nor is she even moderate enough to appeal to moderates. It's very clear this won't be a bridge to the left like Biden would want it to be. And I honestly think that only half of the Bernie bus would go if Warren is the vice president. And what would happen in a scenario where Elizabeth Warren becomes president? And it is clear that she would not get anything done. And because of the fact is that she wants Medicare for all, and then she doesn't want it. She wants Medicare for all in 4 years, and now she doesn't want it. She's not of good character. She's not of a good convention, and it's clear that when she endorsed Hillary Clinton and not endorsed Bernie Sanders, she is not of that progressive ilk, as many would say. She's a faux progressive. She's clearly not at all qualified to become president. It is clear Biden does not like her personally. I know that that the truth is that he does not love her as a person. That she does not get the black vote. She does not get the Latino vote, the white vote. She doesn't move a particular vote, maybe the Karen vote. Not that it matters, but I just see her not flipping any state for Biden. If I were to do an electoral map, and also she's not getting the working class like Tammy Baldwin will. Obviously, Warren, either if she's going to become vice president, notice if she's progressive, she has to go underline and agree with verbatim almost everything her president will do. For example, if Joe Biden's against Medicare for all, she's going to have to be against it. If he is pro keeping a border still not being open borders, she has to be rank and file. So all that working class rhetoric that she uses and employs, in the Midwest would be useless because Biden does support NAFTA. If she does not support NAFTA, she has to support it now. TPP, the same thing. She does not mobilize the working class as many would predict. So in this election, I believe that Minnesota could be flipped. I do also believe that New Hampshire could be flipped. I do think that Trump does get an electoral college voter, basically, in Maine. I do believe he wins Florida. I believe he wins North Carolina. I believe he wins Arizona. I believe that this would make it more likely for him to flip Nevada as well. And I just think that Trump would end up with over 325 electoral votes over Joe Biden's over 200. So it'll be a slightly bigger win. And, some of these states, like Nevada and Minnesota, fall in particular because of Elizabeth Warren in New Hampshire, because she does not appeal to any particular voter set. She's a mediocre candidate, and it is just clear. She is the Newt Gingrich of the 2020 Democratic primary, and that is to say that she is in the middle of two political ends that never meet up, really, and she does not have a particular appeal. So I think Biden could do better in terms of a pick, whether that be the Spanish lady in Nevada that would keep Nevada blue, that is Catherine Cortez Masto or whatever. He could have honestly have picked Lujan Grisham, that would have saved New Mexico, whereas Elizabeth Warren does not save a particular state. She saves maybe Massachusetts, which is completely useless, or better yet, even Gretchen Whitmer would have maybe been able to win Michigan, but clearly Elizabeth Warren is not going to help him there. So, guys, I just want to leave you guys with the fact that Elizabeth Warren is not a good candidate for vice president. Rule her out. I think the odds of her becoming the VP nominee is about 30%. Assuming that Biden hasn't ruled her out already, because I just think that there's too many cons, and the pros that she does possess on paper don't necessarily carry over to an election. She would be like Tim Kaine, but slightly to the left, but she's a woman, so that's worse, and she's older, which is worse, and she's from a more blue state, which is worse. Okay? So, just understand this, my guys. Comment down below who he will pick for vice president. I think it's going to be Kamala Harris at the end of the day, not Val Demings, but we'll see. What is more important to him, Florida or California, but with higher name recognition? Anyways, guys,